How deeply do you understand your customers? You might have an ideal customer profile or several personas documented, but many business owners and marketers forget that those are just snapshots in time and that the customer goes through many different phases along their buyer journey. And now using AI, we can shed light on this in ways that just weren't possible before. This allows us to personalize experiences and optimize our processes. It also allows us to understand our customers in a very deep way that builds adoption, loyalty, and advocacy. This video is going to be especially useful for business owners as they can use these customer journey maps as a GPS. These navigation systems will provide a high-level view of the entire customer experience with your brand. They'll also help you make strategic decisions about where to invest your resources to drive customer loyalty. This video is also going to be very helpful for customer experience managers who are looking to shed light on the emotional roller coaster ride that their customers are going on. It'll help to ensure that customers have positive experiences at every interaction. It'll also allow CX teams to design experiences that reduce frustrations and increase delight. This video is also going to be very helpful for product managers who can use these customer journey maps like a stethoscope, helping them to understand how customers discover, evaluate, and use their products. It'll help product managers identify bottlenecks and points of friction, and it'll reveal unmet needs and opportunities for new product developments based on real customer insights. If you're new to the Blazing Zebra channel, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining me on my mission of helping business owners, marketers, and entrepreneurs all around the world learn to use these powerful new AI tools. I've got a cheat sheet version of this video along with some coaching options available to my Patreon supporters. There are links in the description to this video for all of that. Otherwise, let's get going. We're going to test this out on 3 different large language models today: Anthropic's Claude 3, Google Gemini, and OpenAI's GPT-4. I've just gotten into a habit of using these 3. I think it'll be helpful for you to see how these different models respond to the various prompts that I've created. Long story short, my current favorite is Gemini. Claude 3 would be a second, and OpenAI is really trailing, I would say, when I'm doing a lot of these tests. The one major exception is that OpenAI has these custom GPTs, and I'll get into that at the end of the video of how we can build a custom GPT for customer journey maps. We're going to start with the beginning, source material. Where do we start? This is often the toughest part, so I'm going to give you some thoughts on that. Then we're going to dive into the 3 main stages of the customer journey. These are awareness prompts, consideration prompts, and decision prompts. From there, we're going to go even further past the purchase point to delighting your customers, building loyalty, and even advocacy. The final part of the video, we're going to talk a little bit about building the custom GPT, as I mentioned, and other ways to automate this with APIs and so forth if you really want to take this to the next level. So starting at the beginning, where do we start? Pulling together information, because to build this, we really need that persona. We need that ICP. Maybe you have that information, but that's critical. I think call transcripts, so hopping on a few calls with some of your clients, a diverse set of your clients, and just asking them some questions, interviewing them. That is a great place to start, as you can just feed those transcripts into these large language models and develop persona information from that. Netnography is also huge. I've created multiple market research videos. I'll link to those to show you how to pull different comments off of YouTube, off of Amazon product reviews, Amazon book reviews, and other places, pulling those into large language models to build this persona information. Social media profiles, the LinkedIn About Us or recent activity on LinkedIn, just copying and pasting that straight off of LinkedIn, as it is very hard to automatically scrape LinkedIn. And don't forget your customer service subject matter experts, folks that have been speaking with customers, exclusively. So interviewing them, getting their take on it can be very helpful. Also, competitor reviews. So when I talk about netnography and looking at reviews, maybe it's not only your own products, but it is competitor products, competitor videos, other influencers, comments that people are making on other influential, blogs and videos, etc. Don't forget, you can learn a lot from your competitors' audience as well. When all else fails, you can simply ask the large language model to create some persona information for you. So just telling it a little bit about, who you serve, and asking it to then generate the multiple different personas. I would say the first prompt should be list the different personas who might be involved in a certain buying decision. And then the second prompt would be to drill in and create a full persona profile for each one of those personas. So that can be a great place to start. Let's not forget that these large language models have been trained on nearly all of the information on the internet, and they may be able to create something directly that is better than anything you can customize. And then you can weave in any other insights about your audience that you have that may not be included in the initial responses that these large language models, these AI tools, give you for that initial persona generation. Hopping into the cheat sheet here for this video, you can see here is the example persona data that we're going to be using today as I go through these different prompts. This is a fully fictional character, Sarah Bennett, CEO and co-founder of an artisanal coffee and tea organization. And this just has all of the persona information that we would need to begin these prompts. And from here, we are now getting into creating the customer journey. Here is the mega prompt that I use to create these customer journey maps. So I'll scroll through this so you can take a screen grab of it. You can pause the video, jot some notes down, but this is a pretty detailed prompt that walks the large language model through creating this customer journey map in the 3 main stages. You can see at the bottom here is the persona data, and I'll copy in the persona data that I just went through in after this. So I'll read through it quickly. The following persona data, I like to capitalize this because we are referring to something very specific in the document. I think that helps the large language model understand that we're referring to something specific here. We're going to create a customer journey map. This document will consist of 3 key sections. Each section is related to a key stage in the customer journey, and each section will consist of 5 subsections. And in each subsection, we're just looking for a few words. So these are the different stages and the different components of each stage that we are looking for. So I've dropped all of that entire large prompt along with all of that persona information right here into Chat GPT. I'm going to click go. I'm going to do the same thing in Gemini, dropping that whole thing in, running this. And Claude 3, so we can just see what these different large language models come up with. Okay, so ChatGPT has listed out everything that we asked for, going through each of the sections we requested and pulling together some thoughts about emotional triggers, about values and opinions and attitudes, about goals and aspirations and pain points, all related to the awareness stage. And then it continues and does that same thing for the consideration stage and the decision stage as well. So I would say ChatGPT fit the bill here and gave us a lot to think about. We're just getting started. We're just loading this into the context window of the large language model. Flipping over to Gemini. Gemini, I think, did a little bit better of a job. For whatever reason, the formatting just seems clearer, and some of the things that it has thought through seem a little bit more in depth, I would say. So again, Gemini is becoming my favorite large language model. And here we are with Claude 3, which unfortunately did not really do a great job. I feel like the formatting alone is kind of hard to parse and read here. If you're in love with Claude 3, you might want to break that prompt up and do 3 different prompts, one for the awareness stage, and work through the different 3 stages from awareness to consideration to decision instead of doing it all in one prompt. I would put Claude 3 kind of in the last place here, although it's always interesting. Sometimes Claude is the shining example of the best. So it's funny. It's either in the last place or first place as far as my tests go with Claude 3. And now we want to move a little bit deeper. So we're starting with that very large prompt and a lot of information, loading that in, getting the LLM to kind of understand what we're going for. And now we're going to ask it to please explore the awareness, consideration, decision stage in more depth. These are going to be separate prompts we're going to do to get a little more nuance. So now with all these models I'm loading in, please explore the awareness stage in more depth. Okay, now let's see what ChatGPT has whipped up here. All of these large language models took the direction and kind of assumed that this person was looking to purchase specialty teas, specialty ingredients for their company. Obviously, if you're selling something different than, that, you want to steer the large language model towards Perhaps it's, financial advice or whatever it might be, but giving it a little more context about what you're selling can really help steer this and customize this process to your specific needs. Please keep that in the back of your mind with this video and all of these videos, that this is just a starting place. I want to walk folks through how I'm doing my research day to day, and they can customize it from there. I would say ChatGPT did a pretty good job here diving into each specific part in that awareness stage, learning a little bit more, going deeper on all of these, getting into the goals and aspirations, values and attitudes. You can see how a lot of this can start to steer your content marketing or how you position yourself if you are selling to this individual. One of the most important ones here is the emotional triggers. This can be very helpful as you're crafting your messaging. And I don't think it did a great job on these information sources, and ChatGPT sort of fuzzed out here, didn't get quite through the whole response, where the other two models I think did. Here again, Gemini just crushing it with some finding reliable, ethically sourced ingredients, consumer price sensitivity, national brand recognition being one of the goals. Quite a lot here. I'm not going to go through all of it, but you can get a feel for how robust and thought through and really organized Gemini's thoughts are, especially when it comes to these emotional triggers. Stories of farmers and growers, experiencing new flavor origins. Another thing I love about Gemini is you can modify things directly in its response, which you can't do with any of the other large language models. A feeling of community, desire for high quality experience. Claude did pretty good on this awareness stage deep dive. Still, the formatting's a little weird, but there are some really good ideas in here. You may want to combine these. I've found that Frankensteining the different responses from the large language models together can really generate the absolute best result, but I think Gemini crushed it. Claude had some unique ideas, and ChatGPT kind of lagged behind here. So now I've gone through and repeated that process for both the consideration and the decision stage. Let's take a peek and see how these different large language models performed. And by and large, they performed about the same. I would still put Gemini's response in first place, and so we'll spend a little more time with that one than the others. But the expanded consideration stage goes into the decision-making style and lists out some ideas about that. As you're doing this, again, customizing it at each step, saying this one or two, these sub-bullets resonate with me, resonate with my experience. That can really help you sculpt this and customize it as you go along. In the consideration stage, listing out the decision-making process with some very helpful things here, some things that probably were top of mind, but also some things you don't want to forget, reviews and testimonials, influencing factors. The decision-making stage had some very, very good things. Motivations for purchase, overcoming different objections and concerns, urgency and timing, thinking about seasonal needs, partnerships, barriers to purchase. I think this is one of the most impactful sections. Perceived risk. These are some things that may not be top of mind. Overall, I think Gemini did great. Claude did very well. Also, again, formatting is a little weird, but one thing Claude did is cited some references, cited some different places that this person may be going to do their research, industry-specific blogs and publications, which was interesting. You want to double-check these to make sure they're not hallucinations. I'm especially skeptical as Claude does not have the ability to search the internet, so we'll take a look, and these do look like legit resources. So you can gain something from each one of these. ChatGPT, helpful stuff, but not as good as the other models. It did not respond fully to these, so you'd have to nudge it a few times to get what you want out of these. And now I'm just going to go in and summarize all of this into one document. And again, this will be most impactful if you have added some of your tweaks to this as you go along. So the next prompt here is just please create a detailed customer journey map based on this research. So Gemini has now created a detailed customer journey map here, including all the different stages and some of the best of each section. And we can now just export this into a Google Doc using this little share icon here. Export to Google Docs. I'm going to ask it to create a little intro paragraph. After just a little bit of formatting, we have a nice customer journey map for this persona. You can do this for real people if you have enough information about them, but probably it's best to focus on personas at this point, as it may be hard to get information specifically about individual people. But if someone is very active on LinkedIn, I have in the past been able to gather enough intel to create a unique customer journey map for a specific buyer. And if that buyer is important enough, that can certainly justify the 10 to 20 minutes this takes. But here is the basic customer journey map. What I love about this and Gemini's response is it pulls together actions at each stage. Very helpful. Before moving into the post-purchase stages, I want to look a little bit deeper into how this buyer might interact with others on her team to make this purchase decision. All right, there were some good ideas from all the large language models, but again, Gemini shined in this situation, adding these ideas to the specific stage of how this person would interact with other personas. In the past, I've created these different buyer journeys for multiple personas, and then in this section here, you can see how they would interact and how your messaging needs to be different to these different areas. This can be helpful for your marketing as well as any meetings that your sales folks have with these individuals. Some really powerful stuff here. All right, and now we are really cooking with gas and building this out, not only what their situation is, but also how they interact with their team. Now we're going to dive into some post-purchase prompts to look at how we can delight these customers, how we can make them as loyal as possible, and ideally turn them into advocates. Here's the prompt I'm going to be using for that. I'm going to just say in these same chat strings, going further, please use the persona data to continue the customer journey map into the following 3 stages: delight, loyalty, and advocacy. Let's see what they came up with. Really cool. What I think I'm missing from these is sort of a synopsis or an intro paragraph, kind of a framing paragraph for each of these. So I'm going to ask Gemini to provide that. But otherwise, I think these are pretty close, and these could be very helpful for your product management teams, customer experience teams, and anybody looking at decisions post-purchase. And now we have a document we can circulate internally for how to turn these customers into loyal brand advocates. This has this separated into the delight stage, including actions, loyalty stage, and advocacy stage. You can dive deeper into these as I did earlier, getting as much nuance about them and adding as much nuance that you know about your customers into the large language model to continue to improve these results. And I am working on another video or another large concept where you can actually chat with your customers. So taking this information further, continuing to build on it, and whenever you're asking or whenever you're considering to create a new maybe it's a new feature in your software or a new product line or adjusting pricing, a new offer, you can use all of this information that you know about your customer and build a knowledge base and just frankly ask them, what if we offered this? What if we offered that? So if you're interested in that video, let me know in the comments. That's something I'm working on that I'm excited about. I'd like to know if anybody out there is excited about it as well. Okay, and from here you can think about fairly easily taking these prompts and creating a custom GPT using them that automates these different steps. I have a video all about this, turning any process into a custom GPT that will walk you through taking this prompt sequence or any prompt sequence and turning that into a custom GPT. I will have a link to that showing here in the video now. And another place you might want to look at is exploring these different APIs. As Gemini is proving to be very, very strong, I am getting more and more interested in that API, but OpenAI right now has, I would believe, the easiest to use API. And you can find that by going to platform.openai.com, specifically looking in the assistant section. Once you have a custom GPT that works fairly well, you can basically copy and paste all that functionality in here and use this then as an API and access it from many different places, not just through through the web portal of OpenAI. So if you are a developer, this will probably make a lot of sense and be very easy for you. But if you're just getting started, just play around with those earlier prompts. And then as you're getting something working, you can maybe look at some of my other videos on this or consult with any of your developers to think about how you can automate this and speed up this process and improve it as well. So thank you for joining me on this journey of making customer journey maps. I hope you got something out of it. Again, check out my Patreon. I have a cheat sheet version of this. This includes all of the prompts, the example persona data if you want to play around with that, some additional online guides and articles, and frankly just a lot more. This is a 14-page cheat sheet. So I make a cheat sheet for all of my videos. You can get instant access to all of that just by supporting me on Patreon. I also have a lot of fun coaching options. I have a group that meets every Tuesday to brainstorm on best use cases for these large language models. So I'd love it if you join me on that. There's some one-on-one coaching in there as well. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to Blazing Zebra and let me know what you thought about this video in the comments. If you have ideas for future videos, if you got stuck anywhere, I'd love to know that. And I will see you on the next video.
Make your dreams come true.